Mold Earth is industrious. This mega excavating super shovel of a cantrip is the best friend of any army engineer or Minecraft player at your table. Here's the spell's description and the classes who can cast it. Now I'll dive straight into a small fraction of the million ways to use Mold Earth in 5e. As a starting point, Mold Earth has 3 bullet points that each indicate a different use of the spell. For the sake of staying organized, I'll break down the spell's uses by each of its bullet points, starting with the first, which is to move loose earth, better known as dirt. This is the only instantaneous effect of the cantrip. The other 2 last for up to 1 hour. One important use of moving loose earth is to set up a defensive position. Creating cover and digging trenches are the 2 big things that come to mind, and with Mold Earth you can get these things done insanely quickly. If you're in a natural setting without any cover around, this can be a godsend for keeping the party's back line safe, provided you have the chance to prepare your position before a battle. A similar use of the spell is to make traps. Simple pit traps are even simpler to make with Mold Earth in your pocket. You can even get fancy and combine this with the optional rule for Thieves' Tools being used to make traps in Xanathars. Similarly, you can set up logs to roll and then pull the earth from under them when enemies approach. Another good use of moving earth is to hide or bury things. Dig a quick hole with the spell, throw the thing you want to hide in the hole, and then refill it with adjacent dirt piles. Easy peasy for you, lots of effort for anyone who comes by with a shovel. On the more nefarious side, you can also use Mold Earth to excavate bodies. This could provide your resident necromancer PC with some easy zombies whenever you pass a graveyard, or it could help you do some post-mortem detective work, or you could exhume someone who was buried with a powerful artifact. Sure, you could do all those things with a shovel, but that would slow you down your adventure and you'd look so darn regular doing it. Another good use of Mold Earth's first bullet is to divert water. This can be used destructively or constructively. On the destructive side, flooding can be caused by removing a few well-placed chunks of 5-foot dirt cubes. This could prove devastating to towns and small cave networks. On the flip side, if you're helping build a town or establishing one, Mold Earth can be used to help with irrigation. Another niche use of the cantrip is to purify water. To be clear, you're limited to removing dirt part from a liquid, not the parasites and such. Still, who wants to drink dirt water? The more practical use of the spell is to disrupt enemy defensive positions. If you can get within 30 feet of an enemy encampment, Mold Earth can be used to ruin an enemy's trenches or uproot the ground beneath a palisade fence. Admittedly, this would require you to go unnoticed for a prolonged time to achieve anything meaningful, but at least the spell only has a somatic component. And if you're able to pull it off, you can make it much easier for your party to approach a fortified position. Speaking of helping your allies, Mold Earth can also be used to get friends out of holes. Since the loose dirt moves along the ground and can definitely not be used to bury people, more on that in the rules section later, the spell can be used as a sort of earthen elevator. This could be used to save your unacrobatic paladin friend from embarrassing themselves by trying to get out of a pit trap they've stumbled into. For a more tactical use, Mold Earth can be a great tool to close off passages. If you're escaping from a narrow earthen passageway, Mold Earth can be excellent for closing the tunnel to pursuers, although you might have a tough time finding enough dirt that's actually loose enough to move in such a location. And my last use for Mold Earth's first bullet point is to start a business, or at least make some extra coppers during downtime. The idea is that it takes a long time for a human to dig a 5-foot cube of a hole, and seeing as time is money, this can be a way to make some downtime coin in a town or city where excavation or construction work is happening. Next up, let's look at bullet number 2 of Mold Earth, and that's to write or draw on dirt or stone. The first use of the effect is for communication. The idea is to write a message, draw an arrow pointing followers the right way, or create a more abstract picture to communicate something. And the fact that the message auto-deletes itself in an hour can be a nice perk for leaving behind no trace of your handiwork. Another good use of this effect is to make maps. Who wants to mess with ink and paper when you're dungeon diving? Why not carry a nice tablet around instead and map things out as you go? This can also be used for strategizing, as in creating a model of the room to plan how you'll approach the fight or stage the heist or whatever. And last, a great use of Mold Earth's second bullet point is to create wanted or missing posters. If you're looking for someone, making a nice rock portrait can be helpful for your detective work. Or if you're looking for a special item and you know what it looks like, you can paint someone a picture on a nice slab of stone. Heck, you might even be able to forge a runic symbol or something and trick your way into a secret society. That might be a stretch though. And finally, let's cover bullet number 3 of the spell, and that's to alter terrain, changing terrain to or from difficult terrain. The first good use of this effect is to create choke points. Although a 10-foot by 5-foot area of difficult terrain isn't all that much, it will work to slow down your enemies by 10 feet for one turn if they're first to run over both spaces with barricades, doorways, and the like. This is only really feasible if you set it up before a fight breaks out, though. Another good use of this bullet is to make your escapes easier. If you have earthen-based difficult terrain behind you and you suspect a fight is likely to break out, Mold Earth can be used to make that escape route slightly more accessible for your party. Again, this isn't really practical mid-fight, what with it requiring a full action and all. And my last attempt to make this bullet point somewhat useful is to get a vehicle's wheel unstuck. If your cart is stuck in a muddy rut, Mold Earth should work to get it out. Alright, so it's pretty clear that instantly moving loose dirt is the best part of the cantrip. I'll also mention here that the fact that Mold Earth only requires a somatic component is a nice perk that means you can do most things with it fairly stealthily, even without Subtle Spell. Now I'd like to give advice to DMs who will face many back-of-napkins physics sessions to figure out what Mold Earth does in a given situation. Let's turn to the most common rules questions that come around this handy little cantrip. Rule number 1 is that loose earth refers to dirt. From this, I extrapolate that things like mud structures are invalid targets, but things like sand and small gravel are valid. Basically, if you can use a regular shovel to do it and the target is grainy and composed of mineral substances, Mold Earth should work. The more gray areas are packed dirt in the case of tunnels and such. That'll be up to your DM and what makes sense in the given moment. Rule number 2 is that you can dig deeper than 5 feet down, but you have to account for the dirt spilling back into the hole. That's because you can only move the excavated earth 5 feet horizontally. You'd have to dig a broader hole in order to get deeper into the earth. Basically, Mold Earth doesn't turn off gravity, it just moves dirt. Rule number 3 is that you can't bury someone with Mold Earth. If you were to remove the earth from under a creature, the creature would drop down 5 feet as the dirt moved horizontally away from them. If they stayed put for a round and you then use Mold Earth to move the dirt back into the hole, it will move along the ground, to use the spell's description. In other words, the creature in the hole will slowly be lifted as dirt rises beneath their feet. Their feet might get a little covered by dirt in the process, but you wouldn't achieve any sort of restrained or grappled effect. Number 4 is just confirmation that you can make cover with Mold Earth. Again, Mold Earth does nothing to normal laws of gravity, so it's not like you can create a perfect 5-foot cube structure. It collapses. Regardless, creating dirt piles can certainly work to create cover. Up next, let's answer the biggest question of all. Is Mold Earth a good spell? My answer is meh. Mold Earth is an interesting spell. You might be able to get a lot of utility out of the excavation element of it, but many adventuring scenarios take place inside structures where Mold Earth has no valid targets most of the time. The drawing/writing on stone/dirt function might come up in some role-playing situations, but it's unlikely to see much play. And the ability to change a 5-foot by 5-foot patch of difficult terrain to regular terrain or vice versa is just bad. If you're running away, you're better off dashing. If you're creating a choke point, you won't slow the enemy down in a very significant way. Overall, if you have a cantrip to spare and you like thinking of your caster as an earthbender type character, Mold Earth is an excellent choice for solidifying that concept. And if you're playing a campaign where actual warfare comes up a lot and many of your jobs involve defending key positions in the open field, then Mold Earth does become an excellent and reliable tool. But for the majority of spellcasters and campaigns, Mold Earth falls short compared to other utility cantrip options. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you found this guide on Mold Earth helpful and can show your appreciation with a like and subscribe. It's a massive help for small YouTubers like me. If you have any stories about using Mold Earth in your own Dungeons & Dragons game or questions about the spell's rules, please share them in the comments below. This is DnD Lounge wishing you the best of luck in your next spellcasting venture.